Jesus, looking into Thomas's eyes, said, "Put your finger here in the wounds of my hands. Put your hand into my wounded side and see for yourself. Thomas, don't give in to your doubts any longer. Just believe." Then the words spilled out of his heart. "You are my Lord and you are my God." Jesus responded, "Thomas, now that you've seen me, you believe. But there are those who have never seen me with their eyes, but have believed in me with their hearts, and they will be blessed even more." I wonder what it was like in that upper room, and what were the fears and emotions that were around at that time. There were the disciples in a locked room, hiding away for fear of persecution, dealing with all the emotions that come after you've seen your dear friend and mentor hung up on a cross. And I can't help thinking this week with the funeral of the Duke of Edinburgh tomorrow, of the royal family in Windsor Castle, and all the emotions that are swirling around them. And these times, as we reflect on the readings, as we reflect and mourn the passing of the Duke of Edinburgh, it reminds us too of times when we have been gripped by fear and loss and bewilderment. And into all that, Jesus appears and says, peace. Jesus brings his peace. And in the first place, Thomas wasn't with them, and he just wouldn't believe what he was hearing. And I feel very sorry for Thomas, always to be called doubting Thomas. And yet he didn't doubt any more than any of the others. The disciples who didn't believe the women when they came back saying, "We've seen the Lord." And in Luke's Gospel, we see Jesus saying to all the disciples, "Why have doubts arisen in your heart?" But doubts, we all have doubts. Doubts about who we are, doubts about what we're hearing, doubts about what we remember. Doubts are part of life. But doubts can be positive things. Doubts encourage us to ask questions, to explore, to come deeper into our faith. And I'm sure there have been many times over this year when we have had doubts. And also, I know that so many people are missing hugging their family, their grandchildren. We miss sharing the peace in our services, but we have had virtual hugs and the virtual peace, and sometimes those virtual hugs can be very meaningful. And here Jesus says, "Blessed are those who have not seen him and yet believe." We don't see Jesus in the same way as the disciples did when he walked on the earth. We see Jesus in our hearts and through the Spirit. And so our risen Lord is not here in the way he was when he walked on the earth. But just as we see and understand through our virtual hugs and the virtual peace, so we can reach out to Jesus now, and Jesus reaches out to us. He comes into the locked room of our hearts and just says, peace. Jesus is present and brings his peace. And maybe the question today is, what hug is Jesus reaching out to you today with? What hug is Jesus giving you today? In the midst of all the emotions swirling in our lives, Jesus is present and brings his peace. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Alleluia.